Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Chase, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the new Star Wars trailer that just got dropped. We see a lot of stuff in here. I honestly think they revealed quite a bit of stuff that we can talk about. So we'll go through this trailer. We'll kind of look into some of the stuff, talk a little bit about it, and talk about some theories that might be going on. So yeah, let's go like clip by clip and see what we're watching.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now.
So we start off with Rey out of breath. So she got in the middle of the desert somehow. So I guess she ran and she's out of breath. But we hear Luke, and he's saying that 1,000 generations of Jedi have been passed to her, and I'm guessing he's associating with the Jedi texts and maybe some training from his Force ghost that he's been around. Probably a little bit of mix of both, but basically we're getting that her training has come from the Jedi, and then we see in the background a figure coming towards her. I'll say in a second. Let's watch a little bit more.
But this is your fight.
So I don't know why they choose for it to be riding ground level. I think it's Kylo Ren. Okay, that's a pretty cool jump. Let's stop. There we go. That's pretty cool. New fighter. So I don't know why it's riding the ground so hard. I mean, I feel like it'd be advantageous to come down a sharper angle, shoot some blasts off. But here's the thing: he never makes a shot at her, and that's curious. He never makes a shot. So what is his intentions? Is his intentions to kill her or something else? That might be the right reason he's riding the ground so low. Okay, but pretty cool scene. I'm guessing she jumps and then they cut right here. I'm guessing she's gonna cut part of it or something, but that's just speculation. But looks like a new planet. I don't recognize anything from that. Alright, we see Kylo just bash the crap out of this guy. He looks like his side of his hilt went right into him, which is pretty cool because that's the first time, or probably second time, that we've seen a useful trait of that hilt. I've never got it. Everyone thinks it's so cool. I just think it's so impractical because if you have a lightsaber blade and it's sliding down closer to the hilt. Well, with a normal lightsaber blade, obviously, they disconnect when it gets close to that because they don't want to get their hands chopped off. Well, the hilt is saying, that they're fine with it continuing to slide down because it's going to stop them. But lo and behold, it won't because the blade isn't, we see this little piece of metal. If a lightsaber blade slides all the way down, it's just going to cut right through the blade, and that hilt is ineffective. So the only reason that hilt's there is for offensiveness. Little extra dagger to stab someone with, but I don't see the benefit in that. If you're a sword play guy and you have an extended blade, you will never get close enough in an actual lightsaber battle, or I guess you will, but with certain types of combat, obviously. But I don't know. I think effectiveness wise, it's meh, but it is kind of cool. It's still cool. But anyway, this guy's getting the brunt end of it, and it's a red sky, so I think there's fire around. I think it's kind of just a fiery atmosphere. Some sort of battle that we're not aware of, but let's see. So he's making the helmet again. Rian Johnson chose to just destroy the helmet. We don't need it. But then, obviously, J.J. Abrams is heard some of the fans just like, Kylo Ren's just this emo kid, he's emotional, but he was so much more badass with the helmet, like he seemed tempered with the helmet, like a tempered evil. But then when he destroyed the helmet, it seemed like they threw all that out the door, and they're like, let's go with this emo kid instead. Well, J.J. Abrams is, let's put that back. Let's implement the helmet again, which I think that's a smart decision. So a little bit of retconning here. I think we'll see more. Hey, there we go. We see Lando's back in it. He's aged, I think, really well. He looks really good. So him and Chewie on the Falcon. That's we obviously know nothing about the scene, but they just wanted to show his face to grab audience members to come back, get some nostalgia going. But he looks great. I have to say, I think he looks great for his age. Couple guys with jetpacks. Okay, so this is the medal from A New Hope that they get after destroying the first Death Star. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure what value it has in the movie, but you will see why they're kind of alluding to the old Death Stars again later in the video, which I'm guessing you've seen. And so it's pretty. I'm almost positive they use clips from The Force Awakens to implement Carrie Fisher back in it, because obviously Carrie Fisher passed, which is sad and terrible, but they had to do something. So what they did was they took shots that they didn't use, or they altered existing footage of her elsewhere, and they basically wrote the story around her presence in the in previous movies that film they already have of her, which I think that there's an almost exact hug like this in The Force Awakens. I'm not sure if it's the same one, but it looks pretty similar. And then they changed the backgrounds, changed outfits a little bit, lighting, which they can do digitally now. But it's pretty cool how they implement that, and how they're going to implement that in the new movie.
We'll always be with you.
Okay, and then here's the big one. Right here we see the Death Star, and it's pretty obvious. Here's where the beam came out. I don't know what you would call it, and then there's speculation whether this is the first or second Death Star. I think it's the first, mainly because this doesn't look like Endor. It's watery, and we would think that the Ewok Holocaust after the second one's destroyed, which I think they just kind of wanted to avoid that whole situation. But so yeah, I think this is the first one, which we'll see what significance it has. I'm not sure yet.
No one's ever really gone.
He says no one's really gone. You hear Luke saying no one's really gone, and he's referring to, I think, two people. He's referring to himself, the Jedi, but he's also referring to. Wait for it. He's referring to Palpatine. Well, he's not directly referring to Palpatine, but that's what they're making him refer to by using it in this way. So here's the thing. So we've seen in the past Darkseid users be associated with certain objects, like fragments of their dark-sidedness is somehow in an area or a tomb or an object. And we see they kind of hinted this at in The Force Awakens with Darth Vader's mask, but we also seen in some I think it was the Clone Wars. I think they go to an area of I forget where or when. I'd have to look it up, but we see a time in which the dark side has a presence in like a cave or something. But anyway, but if this is the first one, the first Death Star, Palpatine didn't die in the first one, he died in the second one. So it's interesting to see it, and we can speculate on why they're showing the first, but then they have Palpatine laugh. He's obviously going to make some sort of impact, and what I think is that maybe they're going to retcon Snoke dying by explaining that Snoke was just Palpatine, in a different body or something, or I don't know, but I feel like they do have to make some explanation for Snoke to some degree. It would be an absolute shame if they didn't explain Snoke's death or explain his character at all. I think that'd be a tragedy for the series, because he was a pretty cool character. He was a good villain. He's a lot better than Kylo. And I think that's why they implemented, because everyone was saying after The Last Jedi, who's the villain? You know, who are you going to root for? Who's the villain now? We're left with Kylo, and he's not a villain. He's a, angsty teen. That's how everyone saw it. So I think J.J. Abrams heard that, so he had to implement an evil that everyone could unify around, which I think that's not a bad suggestion. And I think Palpatine is the perfect person to kind of try and unify the fan base again, because it's so divided around one evil that they need to stop. But I think that's, yeah, and it's called The Rise of Skywalker. Interesting name. I'm not sure. The Rise of Skywalker. And so I feel like they might be using Skywalker in a different way other than the last name of all the Skywalkers. The Rise of Skywalker, as in the Skywalker is now a place or a group. Maybe it's a new order. I think that's what I think that would make this name make a lot of sense if this was not a person. This was something else. So let me know what you think in the comments below about the trailer, your thoughts and opinions about the upcoming movie, and subscribe if you want more content. Thanks.